Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my backyard and welcome back to my series I'm doing on my log hauling trailer. In the first video we took a look at the work to the actual trailer. In the second video we took a look at building the arch and the whole lifting mechanism. And in this video we're going to use the trailer to go out and pick up these big ash logs, bring them back here and slab them up. So let's get started. First off, here is the Craigslist posting for these logs. This was from a lot that was being cleared for a new house that was being built. We'll be going after these two big ash logs. The longer of the two logs have been partially cut all the way through. Most likely someone had tried to cut this into firewood, but their chainsaw couldn't reach all the way through. My friend Jordan gave me the heads up on this posting and he came out to give me a hand. He got hit by the chainsaw milling bug pretty hard and is quickly running out of space at his place, so he passed these logs off to me. After removing that part of the log, we were left with about a 8-foot long log, about 30 inches in diameter. And we can just roll that offcut section out of the way. And now I can chain the log to the arch and start moving it. Now at this point I hadn't used this mechanism very much and I hadn't figured out the proper chain length, so as you'll see I chained this log way too short. The proper length, which seems obvious to me now, is to have enough chain so the log is a few inches off the trailer bed when the arch is vertical. So here's the biggest issue with the chain being too short. The log gets above the trailer and the weight of the log is still hanging on the arch instead of resting on the trailer. So the chain is in tension and cannot be unhooked. So in order to get the log unhooked, I use a bottle jack to lift the log onto a smaller log that's sitting under it on the trailer. Then I can unhook the log, chain it back up, and keep pulling it forward. At this point I should have hooked the winch directly to the log and pulled it forward the rest of the way, but I wanted to pull that small log out from underneath it. And a little tug gets it the rest of the way on the trailer. And we could scoot it over so there'd be room for the second log.
Surprised we can do that. I think we just teetered. Hey, we got room!
As we were trying to dig that log out, my camera battery died, but I did get this shot of the other log being loaded with my phone. This one went much easier. We also used the arch to lift a small crotch section up onto the trailer. And here's me sitting by the logs for scale. The next day I backed my trailer down the driveway and into my backyard, so it would be out of the way until I was ready to start cutting these. A few days later, over Thanksgiving weekend, my dad helped me unload and start milling the logs. We started by pulling the small log off the trailer with the winch, looped back from a tree with a snatch block. Next we pulled the shorter log, which was from the base of the tree. I wanted to get it onto this other log so it would be at a decline when milling. And we just rolled it a bit to get it into position. I wanted to mill it so the angled cut on the bottom would be in line with the cuts, so as the slabs are cut, they would just get shorter instead of having an angled end. And then we could get the other log off the trailer. For this one, I just did the chain the log to a tree and pull the trailer out from underneath it. And again, my camera dies before we are finished. This cold weather isn't great for battery life. The next day, we could start cutting slabs. I made all the first cuts using the ladder on all 3 logs. That way I didn't have to adjust the mill's cut depth. And we started by pulling slabs off the shorter log. I cut these at 10/4 or 2.5 inches thick. Having the log propped up like this makes the cuts a lot easier. The only downside is if there's no one holding the slab when the saw finishes the cut, It will slide down and it'll be very interesting to get the saw free. We got 5 of these slabs cut and we leaned them against a tree to get them out of the way. Then we switched to the longer log, mostly because I was more curious about what it was going to look like with all the limbs coming out of it. I could tell from the ends of the logs that the tree did have some carpenter ants, but until you get cutting slabs, you don't really know the extent of the damage. The shorter log had some damage, but the tunnels didn't go very far, so I knew there'd be much more damage, including the nest, in this longer log. The really damaged parts showed up on the second cut, right where a limb had once been. So from this point there was ant damage and rot extending down into the log. Kind of unfortunate, but I'd say this gives these slabs a bit more character. So with Thanksgiving over and my dad gone, I went ahead and cut the next slab off. At this point, Jordan was looking for something to do, so he brought his mill and saw over and helped me cut the rest of this log. He has a steel MS-880, which is able to chew through these cuts much faster than my 046, at about 10 minutes per cut versus 15 with my saw.
The ants are really up in here. I know. Wow. Which both cool and not cool. Yeah. That's what you want. Yeah. Because science. Because science.
Jordan also helped me stack the slabs as they were cut, and we kept cutting until after dark, which really wasn't that late. It's probably only like 5 or 5:30. You gotta love how early it gets dark at the end of November. So I stacked the other slabs that I had, and that shorter log sat all winter waiting to be cut. We even took a family photo on the partial stack. I finally got around to cutting this thing in March. With the weather warming up, it's hard to stay inside. So there's the rest of them. We got 4 slabs and the offcut. For Easter weekend, my dad was in town again and he helped me stack the rest of the slabs. The higher we went, the more interesting it got, but luckily the higher we went, the smaller the slabs got. So that helped. So that loading was a little painful to watch because after a little bit of practice, I can now get a log onto the trailer really easily. It actually just takes 3 steps. The first is a lift to bring the end of the log onto the back of the trailer and set it down. The second lift will lift the back end of the log and further pull the log onto the trailer, maybe 2/3 of the way onto the trailer. And then the winch can be hooked directly to the log and pulled the rest of the way onto the trailer. So now that I've had some practice, I can get a log onto that trailer in about 5 minutes. It takes me longer to get there and set up than it does to actually load a log. One thing I'll mention is log weight. Now, logs are pretty hard to weigh unless you have some kind of special way to weigh these things, maybe with a crane scale or something like that. You probably will never actually know the actual weight of a log you're picking up. But there are great online estimators for log weights. So I went online and I estimated the weight of both these logs. WoodWeb has a great little calculator there. You enter the diameter of the log on both ends and its length, and it'll spit out a number that tells you the estimated weight of the log based on the species. So the bottom log, the longer one, is around 2,200 pounds, and the one I'm sitting on here, the smaller log, is 1,800 pounds. So that's what it's estimated at. Obviously, that's only an estimate because you have no idea how dense the log actually is, what its moisture content is. All of that factors into the actual weight, but those calculators will probably get you pretty close, maybe within 10% or so. So I think these logs were a great test of the trailer. Nothing broke, nothing had any problems. The arch had like absolutely no problem lifting these logs up and supporting their weight. So I am very happy with it because these are pretty big. So that's about it for this one. If you want to check out some more of my milling videos, I'll have a link to a playlist full of those. And of course, the trailer is going to show up in my future videos, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of my future videos. So thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about anything with the trailer or back in the shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I appreciate those, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.